Hello, how's everybody doing today? I hope you are doing very well. Happy New Year. And I want to make this broadcast quite brief because this is really designed to just make sure you know the latest and the greatest information that's coming out of Brazil. And before we actually get into the nitty gritty of the details, this is late breaking news from the country of Brazil that I'm going to talk about in today's broadcast. But as I said, this video, if you have not, if you come on and if you're listening to the playback, make sure you click the like button that helps to populate the video in the YouTube algorithm so it will be pushed out to more people. We definitely want to make sure that people are made aware of this updated news. It's breaking as of today. This is the latest and the greatest information we have been given from our folks in Brazil and also from news sources in Brazil. Also, if you have not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and click the subscribe button. We are a travel community that travels to different places all over the world. And to make sure you are aware and you know about the places that we do travel to all over the world, you can take a look at your screen and you will see our list of 2024 trips that we have that are coming up. These are some pretty exciting destinations. I will say that we are largely interest based, and so it's going to depend on how many of our travelers in our community wants to go on these trips. All of these trips have dates and itineraries and packages associated with it. So if you want to join any one of these trips and destinations, definitely let us know, because that is the only way to make these trips happen and to make sure that you're able to travel comfortably and safely to and from these countries that some of which host quite a number of travelers and some of which host very few Americans on an annual basis. So make sure you take a closer look at the list and you let us know. We right now are largely focused on travel to Brazil and that trip that we have coming up early part of February. That is our focus right now. We have meetings coming up with our amazing travelers. So shout out to the 2024 travelers, Black Travelers Network travelers who will be in Rio de Janeiro enjoying the world's largest carnival and really just experiencing the vibe and the atmosphere and learning more about the place itself and enjoying some of the amazing food. So I have to tell you, we are super excited, as we are excited of all of our travel groups. But those travelers who join us in Brazil, there's particularly special. This is a really wonderful experience that I really can't wait for our travelers to experience. After Brazil, we will ramp up for our next trip that is on deck, which is to Spain, and that's a really affordable experience that you will want to be a part of. It happens over Memorial Day weekend, so it's a very quick travel experience. Our travelers who are going on that trip, they will be responsible for their own lodging, but you can find out more details about that travel experience to Spain. And like I said, it's a great travel experience, but based on the location, for those of you who have a little bit more time and want to explore, it's a great place because it's in proximity to a number of other countries. It's not that far from Morocco, also Spain, also France, also Portugal. So definitely consider that trip that happens over Memorial Day weekend. You can email us for details to find out more about any of these trips. So definitely email us at blacktravelersnetwork@gmail.com. That information is listed on your screen. So I want to get into today's broadcast, and I want to highlight the article that just posted earlier today. It's an article from a publication in Brazil. So the article was in Portuguese, and it has been translated. But here's what we know thus far. As of next week, January 10th, you will need a visa in order to enter the country of Brazil. And what we know thus far is that this visa is expected to cost about $80, and it's also expected to be good for 10 years. So the validity is supposed to last an extensive amount of time. Now, this is a huge departure from what it used to be, because back when we began traveling and visiting the country, the only option that was available was the 10-year visa. And that cost for that 10-year visa was $160. And it was an extensive process because you had to make an appointment, actually go into the consulate, do all of this paperwork. And so the great thing about the visa process now is that it is electronic. Brazil is interesting because depending on the year that you've wanted to travel or that you have traveled to the country, they may require a visa. Some years they haven't required a visa at all. At one point, there was a cheaper e-visa that was implemented, and that was good for only like 2 years. So it seems like if everything that is suspected actually pans out, that this visa will be for an extended amount of time, and it'll be around $80. Now, what's also interesting about the new visa process that we're hearing about is that it may actually come with a clause that those people from, I believe, Australia, Canada, America, that we actually have to prove that we have $2,000 in our bank accounts as an avenue to entry. And, this isn't uncommon, because there are some countries that will say, oh, you need to have X amount of dollars in your bank account in order to enter. We will see how much that particular measure actually holds up, if they will actually implement it. And what the article from the Brazilian publication is saying, that so all of that information is everything we've learned thus far. But the article that came out this morning, it came from a publication. Let me see if I can say it correctly in Portuguese, Correio da Manhã, and that translates to Morning Mail. And the article says Lula, the president of Brazil, decides to extend the start of visa requirements for Americans to April. And so the article reads, and it's not a very long article at all. It's a brief read. It says the federal government published Thursday, January 4th, a decree that extends to April 10th the start of visa requirements for North American, Canadian, and Australian tourists. President Lula responded to a request from the tourism sector. The ministers of tourism, of ports and airports, the Economic Development Board, and there are also some other Brazilian entities. I'm kind of skimming over those entities because it lists a number of names. They held a joint effort with the Minister of Foreign Affairs to postpone the validity until after the high season. We are going into the high season in Brazil. For those of you who've never traveled to Brazil, the high season in Brazil is quite an expensive time of year to travel, and we are in the high season. In the cruise sector alone, there were 8,000 foreign passengers who were prevented from visiting Brazil due to these new visa requirement. And the requirements, the system where you are able to, well, where you're supposed to be able to go on and obtain your travel visa, apparently there are still a lot of flaws, and people are concerned within the country that it could harm foreigners who would come to the country for carnival. And so this is really a really important update. And I must say, as far as we know, based off of this article, which, to be honest with you, we're still going to proceed with our travelers as if they do need a travel visa in order to enter into the country. And so we're waiting to hear back. Just to get more firmer information. I was on a couple of calls today with folks in Brazil, and this information about the e-visas requirements being postponed till April is so fresh and it's so new. And so, I mean, we're just literally hearing about it. So I wanted to come on live to share that with those of you who are traveling to Brazil. Do not be surprised if they tell you that you don't need the visa until April 10th. But at the same time, I would encourage those of you who have planned to visit, who do plan to obtain a visa, to go ahead and go through with the process as if you will actually need a visa. It's better to be on the safe side. As it stated in the article, that there were 8,000 foreign passengers who were actually prevented from visiting the country. And that's a significant amount of people for them to prevent from entering based on them not having their visa. So I don't know if, as a result of the flaws in the system, that they have withdrew even allowing you to obtain your e-visa. That's also a possibility. But the latest of what we know is that it is postponed. But again, this is very fresh off the press information. Proceed to attempt to try to obtain your visa if you can. And if you can't, hey, then you just can't. April 10th, it appears, is the deadline. And we have received information that has just created a massive issue with their system. And particularly from folks from New York who have reported this as well. So it looks like the country may be giving those of you who are traveling to Brazil for Rio Carnival, it looks like you may get a bit of a break in terms of having to pay the visa fee for entry. As this story develops, I definitely will come back on to keep you guys updated and let you know. But as it stands right now, this is the latest and the greatest information. For those of you who know you cannot make it to the country this year for Carnival, because this really is like a major attraction when you visit the country of Brazil, definitely email us. So you can join our amazing travel community as we plan to visit Brazil in the next year, 2025. We actually do have a trip coming to Brazil, heading to Brazil later this year as well. But for those of you who love the carnival season, who really enjoy the glitz and the glamour and the parades and all of the fanfare, the excitement and the crowds and just the overall energy of a place when carnival actually hits, if you love to experience the carnival in Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, that is, definitely email us. Our information is on your screen. We are gearing up for next year's experience as well. Like once we complete this, we'll shift our gears into preparing for the following year, because you get one shot a year at Carnival. And as I said, it's the high season. It's the most expensive time of the year in Brazil. And so a lot of times our travelers are planning as early as February for the following year to make sure that even though it's a pricier time to visit the country, that they are financially prepared for that trip. And so I hope you guys enjoyed today's broadcast. Again, as I stated, I will keep you updated and informed. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen.